There's a call for a God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared. Everything is turning upside down.
Welcome to A Course of Love.
But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Oh yeah. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love on Facebook Live.
Yeah, we are one.
I'm Earl Purdy. Thanks for joining me.
Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am.
And who you are.
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Oh yeah. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love on Facebook Live.
Yeah, we are one.
I'm Earl. Glad to meet you, mighty companions.
We are one.
I'm so glad to have this time with you. Just remember, you don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe and quite startling. But if you just use these ideas, the ideas will show you that they are true. It's about opening your heart and dropping the analytical mind and getting in touch with the divine. You are my mighty companion. You and I are doing our one-on-one here at the Facebook Live A Course of Love class.
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start.
You and me, we've been together.
Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one.
You and I, mighty companion, we are one.
We are one.
I'm talking to you. You and I are one.
Yeah, we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love. 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 I am you. And you are me. Oh yeah. Mighty companion. Welcome to the Course of Love. A Course of Love. A Course of Love. I'm Earl Purdy. And I'm here to join you for A Course of Love. And I just have to take a minute to feel you. I have to take a minute to feel you. We are live And I really appreciate those of you who take the time and make the time to check A Course of Love with me, Earl Purdy, live. Because that means we're in real time. We're all communicating with each other in real time. And I can see your comments as I'm sharing and channeling A Course of Love. So don't think that I'm not seeing what you are putting out and what you're commenting. And I want to thank you for sharing this video, taking a moment to share this video right now so that other people can come online with us and like the video so that Facebook will extend this reach. So comment with each other. Take this opportunity to get to know your mighty companions who are on here with you, who share your purpose and share our purpose. I'm going to be talking to you, and I'm also going to be talking to me, because I teach best what I need to learn. I get most inspired by teaching what I need to remember, because we're equals in this learning process. I love seeing the hearts going across the screen while I'm talking. It inspires me. We're going to be in A Course of Love, and we're going to be in the first treatise, and it's chapter 3, A Call to the Miracle, on page 207. Chapter 3 in A Course of Love, The Call to the Miracle. Chapter 3. And remember, my goal is always to help you to hear it, help me to hear it. The first stage of changing your mind and really getting in touch with truth is to let yourself hear it. Sometimes we jump so fast into the analytical part of it that we don't really give ourselves a chance to hear what Yeshua or Jesus is saying to us in this channel material. Because our ego gets threatened, and when our ego gets threatened, it knows that if it can send us into analyzation, that's a great way to distract us from hearing what's being said. So with the Course of Love, especially with the Course of Love, it's about the heart. It's about letting ourselves hear this from the level of the heart. Thank you, Tricia, for what you're sharing right now about the financial expression of appreciation. Appreciate that. The call to the miracle. The call to the miracle. Remember, my purpose is for you to hear it, to bring this to life. It says the first opportunities for the art of thought to be applied relate to memory in terms of your experience here. What does that mean? It means, in other words, they will relate to the re-experiencing of all that you believe have shaped your life. So part of the waking up process is that you do a recapitulation, which is a re-experiencing of all that you believed has shaped your life. What is that? That's an opportunity. It says these opportunities are but the forerunners of the new learning. It's time for us to learn in a new way. Part of learning in that new way is re-experiencing everything that you believe has shaped your life. These are opportunities for new learning. They are but opportunities to replace what? We are learning how to replace illusion with the truth. Things that are not true that we've been taught with things that are true, so that the truth of who you are is the only thing that remains. If we do this right, if you do this right, the only thing that will remain is the truth of who you really are. You are not a body. You are free. You are still as God created you. You are spirit. You are love. You have a body. You have a body. And the body is for joining, and the body is for communication. But you are not the body. So when you really wake up to your true, real spiritual identity, when you really have self-realization, you will know that you are consciousness, you are awareness, you are not physical form. So, seeing how different from the experience of illusion is the experience of truth is the same as seeing how different the art of thought is from the thinking of the ego man. So how do you see how different the art of thought is from the thinking of the ego man? Well, you have to see how different from the experience of illusion is the experience of truth. You have to see how different the experience of fear is from the experience of true love. We have to see how big a difference it is between having an experience of being separate from each other to what happens when we have an experience of being joined and one with each other. So what is the ego man? What does the ego man see? What does a fear-based man see? What does an ego man see? What does that part of your mind that is your ego see? Well, it doesn't see nothing as it is. So a person who is in their fear, separation, guilt-based mind doesn't see anything as it is. One of the things that I've learned is that when I'm most upset, that's when I try to tell myself I'm probably making my biggest errors of perception, that's when my perception is probably the most distorted. When in the old days, when I got upset, that was when I most felt self-righteous and I felt like I was right. As I have awakened more, what I believe is that when I'm going off and crazy and losing my mind, then that means I have really distorted perception. So I don't trust what I tell myself and I don't trust what I believe when I'm most upset, because the ego man is the fear-based man. The ego man, it says the ego man sees not anything but what it wants as gifts. And even these, the ego man sees not as gifts but as rewards. What does that mean? It means the ego man, the angry man, the fear-based man, barters rather than giving and receiving as one. So when you are unconscious, when you're in your fear-based mind, Earl, you're always trying to make bargains. I'll do this for you if you do that for me. I don't just freely give. Everything I do and everything I give is part of some kind of condition when I'm in my ego man. So the Course of Love says the ego man barters rather than giving and receiving as one, believing in a return only for effort. Because the ego man, the fear-based man, sees only rewards and not gifts. That means the ego-based mind cannot see the truth about gifts. Anything that's a gift is something that is going to be shared. And because of fear-based mind, because the ego part of the mind cannot see that gifts are something that should be shared, then the ego-based mind, the fear-based mind, cannot afford to see relationship. So what do you mean the ego-based mind, the fear-based mind, cannot afford to see relationship? Well, because an ego-based mind, somebody in their ego, someone off into just their sense of being separate and different and alone, someone who sees themselves as being in competition, the ego part of the mind believes it is on its own. So how do you know when you're interacting with the ego? Because the ego is always that person or that part of the mind that believes it's on its own, so it can't see a higher order. So an ego person, an ego man, cannot see a higher order. It just thinks it's on its own. So how can I tell when I'm in my ego better than any other time? How can I tell when I'm in my wrong-mindedness better than any other time? Whenever I tell myself I'm on my own, whenever I tell myself it's up to me to do something alone. Don't you know whenever you tell yourself that it's up to you to do something on your own, that is your ego. That's how you know you're in your ego mind. Because of all of this, all of what? Because the ego-based mind thinks it's on its own. A fear-based mind thinks it's on its own. And a guilty mind thinks it's on its own. An angry mind thinks it's on its own. Any mind that thinks it's on its own is a mind that cannot experience the truth. So how do you know when you're not experiencing the truth? You will be telling yourself, I'm in this all by myself. I've got to do this on my own. I have to be autonomous. I have to be self-sufficient. So you, at that point, you exist in illusion. You are existing in a false reality. So in paragraph 4, chapter 3, it says the experience of truth dispels illusion. So just having the experience of the truth will dispel your ego mind. It will dispel your sense of separation. What will dispel your sense of separation? What will dispel your sense of separation is having an experience of the truth. So when you and I are joining together right now, we're having an experience of the truth because we are joining together on the truth. So when we join together, you and I, we are actually dispelling the ego. We're dispelling our fear and guilt and anger and anxiety and anything that makes us think we're on our own, without God, without support, without help. Just us joining together right now, live especially, because that means this is happening in real time, then we are dispelling the ego. We are dispelling the idea that we are alone, and we are dispelling the idea that we are separate. Now, the art of thought replaces the ego mind, but how does the art of thought replace the fear-based mind? The art of thought replaces the fear-based mind with the wholehearted. Now, what is the course of love taught us about wholeheartedness? It says wholeheartedness is a joining of your mind with your heart. So the wholehearted is but the heart and the mind joined in unity. So what is the wholehearted? It's my heart and my mind joined in oneness. So when my heart and my mind are in total alignment, I am wholehearted. Now, how can what is closely guarded extend? How am I going to extend something that I'm guarding really closely? How can what is controlled create? If I'm limited, if I am not free, then how am I going to create something new? How am I going to go beyond boundaries? How am I going to have a really free expression of myself if I'm in any kind of relationship, either with myself or with anybody else, that I am controlled and guarded? So how can you tell when you're not in your heart-centered self? The way you can tell when you're not in your heart-centered self is you will feel guarded and you will feel a need to control. Did you hear me, Earl? When you're feeling guarded and you feel a need to control, that's how you can tell you're in your ego. How can what continues to give in to fear know love? So if I'm going to always give in to my fear, if I'm going to always give in to my anger, if I always give in to my guilt and my anger and my resentment and my grievances, then how am I going to know love? So if you are a person and right now you're giving in to any of those things, you will not know love. So all your reasons for fear-based living have been discounted one by one, and yet you dare not try to live without your fear-based thinking. Why is it that I believe that being afraid and concerned and worrying is somehow protecting me? There's a part of my mind that believes that worrying and being concerned about the future and getting upset with things outside of myself, that somehow or another this is protecting me. Somehow or another this is serving me. So why do I live that way? It says, well, because of the thoughts of the ego mind. You have thoughts of the ego mind. You have thoughts of the worldly mind. Now, what is the ego mind concerned with? What is your ego mind concerned with? The ego mind is concerned with only one thing. The ego mind is concerned with only one thing: its own survival. So an unconscious soul, a soul that is asleep, a soul that has lost the awareness of who they really are in the truth, that's a person that's only concerned with their own survival. But the ego mind has you convinced it is your survival that depends on your ego. Your ego has convinced you that your survival depends on your ego, is the same as saying your fearful thoughts have convinced you that your survival depends on keeping fearful thoughts. How can you be convinced to live if the truth, how can you be convinced to live as if the truth is saying something different? Because only if you begin to live as if the truth were otherwise, can you see that the truth truly is otherwise. Unless I start to live my life according to what I'm studying, then how will I ever know that what I'm studying is the truth? One of the temptations when you are a truth student or a metaphysical student or a spiritual student, one of the temptations is to read and listen to the truth like you're doing right now, and then as soon as you finish listening to the truth, then go right back into your worldly mind and start interpreting everything still from the old fearful worldly perspective. And here's the one sentence that pretty much sums up the ego worldly perspective. The one sentence that you could say that really identifies the ego worldly perspective is, if this were different, I would be happy. If this were different, I would be happy, and I am the victim of the world I see. Those two thoughts are the root thoughts of your fear and your ego. If this person was different, I'd be happy. If this situation were different, I would be happy. If this circumstance were outside of me were different, I would be happy. If I was in another place outside of me, I would be happy. If I was in another circumstance outside of me, I would be happy. That is the core idea that the world teaches us. It teaches us that everything that makes us unhappy or happy is being caused by something or someone outside of us. And then we get attached to what we think that is, and then that makes us afraid. So only if you begin to live as if the truth were otherwise can you see that the truth truly is otherwise, or based on a wisdom other than what has come before. So what is the truth? It's wisdom that's based on something other than what we've learned before. So in paragraph 6 in chapter 3, on the call to the miracle, it says, the only way for you to come to live in truth, the only way for you to come to live in truth. How would you come to live in truth? How would you come to live in truth? The only way, what did it say, the only way? Yes, it says the only way for you to come to live in truth, the only way for you to come to live in truth, Earl, and the only way for you to come to live in truth, mighty companion, is through faith. So what's going to be needed is faith, not trying to have a faith in something that might happen. It's not about trying to have faith in something that might be. It's about having faith in what already is. It's not about, I need to have faith in something that hasn't happened yet. I need to have faith in something that I hope will happen. I need to have faith in what I think might be one day. No, that's not the kind of faith that the Course of Love is talking about. Have faith in what is. What is our oneness. What is God. What is love. What is truth. What is you. A faith in what is ultimately is a faith in miracles. So a faith in what is a faith in what? A faith in what is a faith in miracles. Miracles are what you are now asked to call upon. Now, okay, so right now, together in this session, you and me, what Yeshua, what Spirit is asking us to do is call upon a miracle. Call upon a miracle. I'm asking you to call upon a miracle. Ask for a miracle in your life right now. Ask for a miracle. Ask for a miracle. Ask for a miracle in your life right now. Not an hour from now, not 2 minutes from now. Ask for a miracle in your life, and ask for a miracle in your life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I ask for a miracle in my life right now. I call upon a miracle in my life right now. I call upon a miracle in my life right now. I call upon a miracle in my life right now. I call upon a miracle in my life right now. I call upon a miracle. I call upon a miracle. I call upon a miracle in my life right now. Are you doing that? Are you just listening, or are you actually participating? Because as I go through this, I'm going to stop and I'm going to do whatever it is that Jesus is asking me to do in A Course of Love. I'm going to stop right then in that moment, because I notice that I'm never being asked to do anything that I can't do right now. That's one of the ways that you can tell when you are getting guidance from your higher self. If you're receiving guidance from spirit, there will be two characteristics. It will be, you would be told to do something that you're able to do, and you would be asked to do something that you would really want to do, because that pretty much would guarantee that it would be done. So calling upon miracles, that is an act of faith. So what is an act of faith? It's calling upon miracles. Being willing to call upon a miracle is an act of faith. So if you really want to obey God, if you really want to obey the divine, if you really want to obey the greater self, then stop right now and say, I call upon miracles. I call upon miracles. You think the quest for miracles. Now, what the Course of Love is about to do right now is going to describe to us maybe some of the subconscious or conscious beliefs we have about asking for miracles. It's going to go over the distorted ideas that we have about miracles that actually blocks us from allowing ourselves to experience the miracle. So I would invite you to listen really carefully, Earl, and I would invite you to really listen carefully right now, my mighty companion. It says, you think the quest for miracles is a quest for proof that demonstrates a lack of faith, but the reverse is true. In other words, what kind of miracle would lead to a lack of faith? There is no such kind of miracle that would lead to a lack of faith. So I ask you now, paragraph 7, I ask you now to request a miracle. Okay, I'm back. We've been having a little problem with the internet here. And so if I should happen to go off, just be patient and it will try to reconnect and bring me back online. So just be patient. I found if I'll just wait, then it usually reconnects. So hang in there. If something happens and the broadcast gets interrupted, just hang in there, kind of consider what I've just said, and then hopefully I'll be back online very quickly. Okay, so what we were being told to do was, I ask you now to request a miracle. So I request a miracle, I request a miracle, I request, and one of the miracles I request is that the broadcast not be interrupted. I request a miracle, I request a miracle, I request a miracle, I request a miracle. So what is the question I'm going to ask you right now? The question that I'm going to ask you right now is, what kind of miracle should you ask for? What kind of miracle should you ask for? How big a miracle should you request? How big of a miracle should you request? How big is your faith? How big is your faith? How big is your faith? How much proof does your faith require? So here's the question. What kind of miracle should you ask for? How big of a miracle should you request? How big is your faith? How much proof does your faith require? What kind of miracle should you ask for? How big of a miracle should you request? How big is your faith? How much proof does it require? I speak not in jest, but I ask you to seriously consider just what kind of miracle is needed to get you to change your mind about who you are. What kind of miracle is needed to get you to change your mind? What kind of miracle is needed to get you to change your mind about who you are? What kind of miracle do you need to get you to change your mind about who you are? And if you change your mind about who you are, you know what's going to happen if you change your mind about who you are? If you change your mind about who you are, then you're going to change the nature of your thinking. So how do you change the nature of your thinking? You change the nature of your thinking by changing your mind about who you are. How do you change your mind about who you are? You change your mind about who you are by requesting miracles. So that's why I'm telling you right now, request a miracle. Observe yourself as you think through this question. I want you to observe yourself as you're thinking about what I'm saying. Observe yourself. Can you remove all your fear and doubt from asking for a miracle? Why should it be that asking for a miracle makes you encounter fear? What's frightening about asking for a miracle? Why should requesting a miracle frighten you? Why should asking for a miracle make you feel nervous or uneasy? Why should it be that fear is what you encounter when you say you are ready to request a miracle? Do you know that the bigger the miracle that occurs to you, the more you are likely to fear the consequences of asking for the miracle, the bigger the miracle is that you ask for? These are not consequences for the world that you fear. It's the consequences for yourself that you fear when you ask for a very big miracle. There's a part of you that wonders what the heck that might mean in terms of consequences to you, Earl, and in terms of consequences to you, mighty companion. If you requested a miracle and it came true, then what? Let's say you request a really big miracle, and that really big miracle comes through. Then what? Then what? Let's say you request a miracle, and the miracle comes through. Then what? If you request a small miracle, let's say you request a small miracle, and that small miracle comes true. How awful you would feel that you hadn't requested a bigger miracle. Let's say you ask for a little miracle, and the little miracle happens, and then you feel bad because you go, shoot, I could have asked for a much bigger miracle than that. I asked for a little miracle. I should have asked for a big miracle. You will almost feel panic at the thought of such a choice being put before you. Some of you panic at the idea of such a big thought of asking for a big miracle. If you agree to choose a miracle at all, which many of you will absolutely balk at doing, by the way, you want to choose the right miracle. Even if you are trying to go along with the idea of a miracle, you want to choose just the right miracle. Some of you may think through just what kind of miracle would be most convincing to you, since you see this exercise as what it is. What kind of miracle would be most convincing to you? What kind of miracle would be most convincing to me? Let's say, for instance, if you ask for a cure for a disease, let's say there's a disease happening and you are asking for a miracle right now. Let's say you got something really big and challenging going on and you ask for a miracle right now. Let's say you ask for a cure for a disease. Well, how will you know that this cure is a miracle and not the result of scientific discovery, or that the cure was not the natural course an illness was bound to take? I mean, how would you really know that it was a miracle that happened? What miracle could be seen as only miracle? What miracle could be seen as only miracle and not leave doubt as to its circumstances? Would you choose a miracle that would leave no room for doubt? Because such a simple miracle might be like turning water into wine. What harm could come from turning water into wine? In other words, what harm can come from just doing some kind of little simple miracle? And yet, even doing a simple miracle, the course of love says, even this you would fear. Even doing a simple miracle, even this you would fear, for if you ask for such a miracle and that miracle happened and that miracle came to be, then you would have to really contemplate your power to perform miracles. If I do a little simple miracle, if I ask for a simple miracle and that simple miracle happens, then I'm going to really have to give some really serious, sincere thought to the whole idea of performing miracles. Here you find your greatest fear of all. What is your greatest fear of all? What is your greatest fear of all? I'm going to tell you your greatest fear of all. Would you like to hear, according to A Course of Love, what your greatest fear of all is? Your greatest fear of all is the fear of your power. You are afraid of your power. You are afraid of your power. Earl Purdy. You are afraid of your power. Mighty companion. You are afraid of your power. Your greatest fear of all is your fear of your power. According to A Course of Love, your greatest fear is the fear of your power.
Responsible for what I see. Yeah, I am responsible for what I say. I am responsible for what I say. Say I am responsible for what I say. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for it. Yeah, I ask for it. Choose the feelings that I experience. Yeah, I choose the feelings that I experience. I choose the feelings that I experience. Yeah, I choose the feelings that I experience. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for it. Yeah, I ask for it.
Stop being afraid of your power. Stop being afraid of your power. Stop being afraid of your power. Stop being afraid of your power.
I decide upon the goal that I would achieve. I decide upon the goal that I would achieve. I decide upon the goal that I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, well, I ask for it. Yeah, I ask for it.
You are entitled to miracles. You are entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. We are 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 entitled to miracles.
I am responsible. Yeah, I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible. And everything that seems to happen to me.
Where was I?
I choose the feelings.
I choose the feelings.
I choose the feelings.
feeling. I choose my feelings. I choose my feelings. And everything that seems to happen to me. What do you say? Everything that seems to happen to me. Everything that seems to happen to me. Well, I ask for it. Yeah, I ask for it. I am responsible. That was Brother John Christmas. Go to johnchristmas.com for this music. johnchristmas.com. That's my brother. Love him. So, we on paragraph 10, chapter 3, in A Course of Love. It says, as was said within A Course of Love, willingness doesn't require conviction. Willingness doesn't require conviction. Willingness is what leads to conviction. So willingness leads to conviction. The apostles had no faith in their ability to perform miracles. The faith the apostles actually showed was in their willingness to try to do the faith that the apostles showed was in their willingness to try to do miracles. This little willingness to do miracles gave way to conviction as miracles flowed through the apostles as the blessings that they are. I do not want to lose any of you here. I do not want to lose any of you here. But such is your faith, such is your fear, such is your fear that you can already see your own loss. In other words, as great as the fear of miracles is, as great as the fear of miracles is, the fear of not being able to form, the fear of not being able to perform miracles is greater than your fear of miracles. Actually, your fear of not being able to perform miracles is greater than your fear of miracles. So there's a temptation, it says, for you to think of requesting miracles and doing miracles as a test that you can pass or a test that you can fail. And what's more, not only would your passing of this test, what test? The test of whether or not you can perform miracles, require you to contemplate your power, but your failure to do miracles would require you to contemplate your lack of power. So let me say it another way. If you ask for a miracle and the miracle didn't come to be, let's say you ask for a miracle and the miracle didn't happen, wouldn't that negate all you have achieved so far? Wouldn't that send you back to a state of disbelief if you asked for a miracle and the miracle didn't happen? Wouldn't that kind of negate all that you have achieved so far? Would that send you back to a state of disbelief? And I'm loving the comments, and I'm loving the hearts. I'm very aware of you. I'm here with you. I'm very aware. Don't forget to comment, communicate. We are family. We are the mighty companions. So if you ask for a miracle and the miracle didn't come to be, wouldn't it negate all that you have achieved thus far and send you back to a state of disbelief? If you tried to do a miracle and it didn't happen, wouldn't that make you doubt your ability to do miracles? So, better not to try at all. It's probably better if I didn't try to do miracles at all, rather than risk trying to do miracles and failing when such consequences would seem to hang in the balance. I really don't want to make myself feel like I'm even less able to do miracles, so why don't I just not even try to do miracles at all? In paragraph 12, chapter 3, it's saying, but again I tell you, this is no idle request. I'm not making an idle request. I'm not making an idle request. Whatever is necessary to convince you now is what I will provide. Yeshua, Jesus' higher self, is saying, whatever is necessary to convince you that you can perform miracles, I will provide. Listen, pretend that I'm your higher self, your spiritual self, God's self, your brother in truth, Jesus. And I'm saying to you, whatever is necessary to convince you now is what I will provide. That's how urgent everything is right now. Such is the urgency of time. What urgency are we talking about? The urgency for the return to unity. It's urgent that we return to oneness. It is urgent that you and I return to oneness. It is urgent. It is urgent. It is urgent that we return to unity. The urgency of the need to leave fear behind. It's urgent. It's urgent that I leave my fear behind. It's urgent that I leave my fear behind. It's urgent. It's urgent that I leave my fear behind. It's urgent that you leave your fear behind. It's urgent that you leave your fear behind. It's urgent that you leave your fear behind. It's urgent that I leave my fear behind. Can you not, from this one example of your fear of miracles, see the glaring reality of all you steal with fear? In other words, you need to leave your fear behind now. And this too is a means of unlearning. How can you leave behind all your fear? How can you leave behind all your fear without seeing all of your fear for what it is and then choosing to lay your fear aside? So, how do you leave fear behind? This is how you leave fear behind. I'm going to tell you. Would you like to know how you leave all fear behind? The way that you leave all fear behind, the way that you leave all fear behind is to look at your fear for what it is and then choose to lay it aside. So you don't get rid of your fear by pretending that you don't have fear. You don't get rid of your fear by being in denial about your fear. You get rid of your fear. You leave your fear behind, Earl, by seeing your fear for what your fear is. And then after you see your fear for what your fear is, then you choose to leave, then you choose to lay your fear down. This does not have to be done right now. You don't have to do this right now if your fear is greater than your willingness. You don't have to do this right now if your fear is greater than your willingness to look at your fear and lay it aside. This doesn't have to be done right now. But I want you to hold this thought inside your mind. Hold what I just said inside your mind. So what is needed? What is it that's needed right now? What is it that's needed right now, Earl? What is needed to convince you of the truth? It's going to be provided. Everything you need is going to be provided for you. Everything you need to leave your fear behind and to perform miracles is going to be provided for you. Everything you need is going to be provided for you. Everything you need is going to be provided for you. That's how urgent it is that you return to unity. That's how urgent it is that we return to oneness. If not now, then soon you're going to be asked to make this final choice. You are going to, what final choice? The final choice to perform miracles, the final choice to look at your fears for what your fears are, and then choose to lay your fears aside. If not now, then soon you will be asked to make this final choice. What choice? The choice to leave fear behind for good, and the choice to become who you really are. Your last choice, what is it? What is your last choice? What is your last choice? Your final choice is the choice to leave your fear behind for good and to become who you really are. Who are you? Who are you? You are a miracle worker. That's who you are. You are on this planet. You are in this dimension to perform miracles. What? Yeah. That's why the theme has been about you requesting miracles and then being told all the reasons and excuses and blocks you have to performing miracles. That's why you want to listen to this over and over again, because you have a final choice to make. What is that final choice? the choice to leave fear behind for good and to become who you really are. Who are you? You are a miracle worker. You are a miracle worker. This is not all that you are, but it's a measure of who you are. It's a measure of who you are. This is not at all. This is not all that you are. This isn't all that you are. Being a miracle worker isn't all that you are, but being a miracle worker is the quickest means of realizing who you are. So what's the quickest means of realizing who you are? What is the fastest way to realize who you really are? Earl, the fastest way to realize who you really are is to be a miracle worker. Mighty companion, the fastest way to get in touch with who you really are is to be a miracle worker. As was said in a course in miracles, and I do a course in miracles every Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. on Sundays, Mountain Time. I also do a Facebook Live of A Course in Miracles. And I always post my classes also on YouTube. So, as was said, in A Course in Miracles, miracles are time-saving devices. So miracles save time. Miracles save time. Although asking you to choose a miracle, even though asking you to choose a miracle would seem to violate one of the rules of miracle readiness as described in A Course in Miracles, the extreme need of your return to love requires extreme measures. There's an extreme need for us to return to love. If you don't realize how much the need is to be a conduit, a channel for love in this dream that we're living right now, you really have your proverbial head stuck in the ground. If there was ever a time for miracles, if there was ever a time for love, and for us to be light workers, love workers, channels for love, it is absolutely right now. Extreme measures. There is a need for extreme love. So what should we consider? Well, let's consider your objections to miracles one by one. Let's consider your objections to performing miracles one by one. Because by considering your objections to miracles, we will uncover the source of all your fears as well as the source of miracles. So what is the thing we need to recognize first? First, you will say that you have no objections to miracles. Probably you will say, I don't have any objection to miracles, only to having miracles performed through me. I don't mind having a miracle, but I have some resistance to being the one that does the miracle. Your lack of willingness to perform miracles. Your lack of willingness to perform miracles, Earl. Your lack of willingness to perform miracles, mighty companion. Your lack of willingness to do what? Perform miracles. You will say that your lack of willingness comes from your unworthiness. There may be a part of you that feels like you're unworthy. You're not loving enough. You're not conscious enough. You're not spiritual enough to perform miracles. Do you know that your unworthiness comes from your belief that you are only human? So that sense of unworthiness to be able to perform miracles is actually coming from your belief that you are only a human being. The idea that you are only a human being is the underlying idea, according to A Course of Love, that makes a person unwilling to perform miracles. I'm willing to have a miracle. I'm willing to have miracles, but I got a little shaky about the idea of me being the miracle worker, because I don't really feel worthy enough, because after all, I'm just a fallible human being. I'm not God. I'm not a holy person. And so miracles shouldn't flow through me because I'm not God. I'm not a holy person, so why should miracles come through me? That's one of the reasons why you might be afraid to perform miracles as a miracle worker, which would help you realize who you really are, is because there's a part of you that may feel unworthy according to the Course of Love and feels like you are only human, you're certainly not God, and so miracles shouldn't flow through you. Secondly, you would object to being asked to choose a miracle. there's some resistance to you even being asked to choose a miracle. Surely you cannot know the consequences of what any miracle would have on the rest of the world. I'm afraid to choose a miracle because I don't know the consequences of choosing a miracle. I don't know what might happen if that miracle happens in the world. If you were to ask for somebody's life to be spared, for instance, how would you know that it wasn't that person's time to die? You know, I don't know what's best for everybody else. If you were asked for the cure of a disease, how would you know that disease wasn't meant to be to further someone's soul growth or their learning? If you were asked to win the lottery, if you were to ask to win the lottery, how could such selfishness not be punished? You know, it's like, oh my God, I'd like to win the lottery. Oh, but a holy spiritual person wouldn't be asking for that. That's a very selfish miracle for me to ask for. So that's the second reason that we don't ask for miracles. It's because we are afraid of the consequences of us doing that. The first reason for not performing miracles and having objections to performing miracles is believing that you're somehow unworthy. You're not holy enough. You're not God. And the third reason that you might object and block you performing miracles, thirdly, you might, at the suggestion that you need proof to shore up your faith, balk, even while you remain convinced that a failure of such proof would shake your faith. Fourth, you might balk at the suggestion that God would grant miracles on such a whim, such a fanciful idea as that of your being convinced of your power. How could this possibly be important? Even were you to possess such power, surely it's a power that is a power of God, and so that power most certainly doesn't need you for its accomplishment. So better not mess with such things as miracles. I think I'd better leave the miracles to the Creator. Even the thought of a miracle kind of leads me to ideas of magic and power that is not of this world, and thus there must have a dark side to this power as well as a light side to this power. So I start to have some suspicions about doing miracles, because miracles might threaten everything that I've come to hold dear. Just the whole thing about miracles, I just need to leave this alone. It's just too much for me to deal with. I just might need to leave that whole thing alone. See, as a matter of fact, there's a part of my mind that thinks of me being a miracle worker that performs miracles is almost like sacrilegious. Because miracles are the realm of Jesus and other advanced spiritual beings, you know, and miracles are the realm of saints, and miracles, you know, Jesus and saints and masters, they know where miracles belong. So to even implore them would be heresy. Do you know what else you fear? You fear as well that you don't know what miracles are, and you don't know how to perform them. So you want me to give you a definition of miracles. You need a definition. I need a definition of miracles. So, what is an appropriate miracle? What is an appropriate miracle? Whom should miracles be requested for? What are the criteria for miracles? How are miracles done? Do miracles happen all at once? Or can miracles be for some date in the future? What about the correction of something that's already happened? Can I use miracles to correct something that's already happened? You have far too many questions without answers to choose a miracle. It's just too much. It's too many questions about this whole miracle thing. So I'm not going to really choose a miracle. Certainly I'm not going to choose to be a miracle worker. Certainly I'm not going to choose to perform a miracle. These are all erroneous, fear-based thoughts. So even though many more fears might prevail upon you, even though you might have a lot of other fears, we will consider only one further fear. We're going to take a look at only one further fear. And what is that fear? What is the one further fear that we're going to take a look at? The fear of making the wrong choice. The fear of making the wrong choice. The fear of making the wrong choice in your choice of miracles. That's the same as a fear of scarcity. Because surely the working of one miracle would be a fluke anyway. Even if you pulled it off, that would be a fluke. Proof of nothing and easily discounted and easily explained away would be one miracle maybe that you would do. Surely to believe that where one miracle worked, another might be possible would be to have ideas of grandeur not meant for you. Here your thoughts might stray. Here your thoughts might stray to the performing of many miracles. What a media circus that would be if I was able to perform a whole lot of miracles. I would be in demand to end so much suffering in so many places. Let's say I was able to perform miracles. Man, I wouldn't have any free time. Everybody would be on me every minute. I would need to be solving things and performing miracles all over the world. Suddenly, I wouldn't want that even if it could come to be. I don't want to be a miracle worker. Look at all the demands that would be made of me. I wouldn't have any time to myself if I really could perform miracles. Indeed, this would require the auspices of a saintly soul and not somebody like me. Don't you see that the choice is made in each of these scenarios and the reasoning or lack of reasoning behind all the stuff that I just said to you? Here's the core belief behind all of this doubt and fear about performing miracles. You are not worthy. You are not saintly. You are not godlike enough. You are not holy enough to perform miracles. You might choose incorrectly. You might invoke some type of retribution. If you could perform miracles, you might be selfish. You might be proved to have no faith. You might succumb to thoughts of grandeur. In short, Earl, you are just too afraid to perform miracles. Mighty companion, according to A Course of Love, we are just too afraid to perform miracles for a variety of reasons. In short, you are not willing, and you have many reasons for not being willing to perform miracles. What we have done here in this chapter, what we've done tonight, what we've done in this recording, what we've done in this session that's very powerful is we have shared with each other the many reasons for not being willing to perform miracles. We needed to bring that up to take a look at all the subconscious blocks we might have to performing miracles. What we have done here is to bring your fears to light. Remember, we said that part of leaving fear behind is to look at the fear for what the fear is and then lay that fear aside. Well, that's exactly what we've done. We have looked at the fears of performing miracles, and we are going to choose to lay those fears aside. Fears that you didn't even realize you held so closely or would be so terrified to let go of. So now we can address each of these fears now. We can address each of these fears now, bringing these fears to the art of thought, real thought, correct thought, rather than the thinking of the ego mind. Now we can address each of these fears, bringing to them the art of thought rather than the thinking of our ego mind. We've done something incredible tonight. That's right. There is nothing to fear. Like Diana says, I don't perform miracles because I'm tired. That's exactly right. We have all of these different reasons why we will not perform miracles, and we're being told we have that capability through our own divine selves and connections also. And we've heard every reason why we won't do it. And so there's going to be a big recap, a little recap. be sure to share your main takeaways tonight in this time, this lesson, in the comment section and section. In the comment section, share your major takeaways. It is my pleasure and a privilege to teach and share with you. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher, and you would like to support my teaching ministry, please go to earlpurdy.com. Go to earlpurdy.com. I'm also here to work with you personally on a one-on-one called clarity sessions. I do clarity sessions, and I use all of my 30-plus years of sharing metaphysical spiritual truths, as well as my knowledge of divine astrology and numerology, and I bring it into our session if you are open to that. So contact me, go to my website at earlpurdy.com, and it explains what services I offer. And there are literally hundreds of audio and video of my classes for you to use to continue to support you in your awakening process. And it's my pleasure to make those available to you totally free. You are awesome. The music, johnchristmas.com. A course of love.org if you want to find out more about the course of love. Okay, so I'm going to do a bringing this ship home, and allowing us to join our energies together one more time before we get out of here. It's awesome. I am so glad to have you in my life. So let's do it, y'all. Breathe, let it in. I ask to perform miracles. I request a miracle. 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 This is the truth.
You are sinless. You are sinless. You are a child of God. You are sinless. You are sinless. Loves you like you are. Your invulnerability was your father's guarantee that you would forever be completely free. You are guiltless. You are guiltless. You are a child of God.
Come on, party with me, y'all.
You are guiltless.
Come on, mighty companions. Ask for your miracle. Ask for the miracle.
Your invulnerability was your father's guarantee that you would forever be
Completely free.
completely free. But you keep on singing. You keep on singing. But you keep on singing the blues. Stop singing. When you're gonna stop singing, it's time for you to learn you got nothing to lose.
I request a miracle. I request a miracle. I request a miracle. I request a miracle. You request a miracle. I request a miracle. You request a miracle. I request a miracle. We request a miracle. We request a miracle. We request a miracle. We request a miracle. You request a miracle. You request a miracle. Request a miracle. Request a miracle.
You are sinless. You are sinless. You are a child of God.
miracles. Mighty companion, it's been good. It's been good. I love spending this time with you. I love the comments that you were making all the way through. Share this. And don't forget, I love you. And may the course be with you. Until the next time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, every Thursday, Facebook Live, Earl Purdy, A Course of Love. Go to my website, sign up for my contact list. I love you.